For the last couple of weeks, I had the privilege of using a brand new DJI Neo drone, and over the course of that period, it actually received, I believe, about 3 firmware updates, and the firmware updates addressed serious bugs, direction track issues, and some of the firmware updates actually were major in the sense that they added ability for you to be able to control your DJI drone using an RC2, RCN3 and RCN2 and among other FPV goggles. So DJI firmware updates can be powerful, but there is a problem, or should I actually say there are problems that are there that I feel like DJI needs to look into, that firmware can possibly address. And here are some of those issues. When you're flying the DJI Neo, like most people that are going to be buying this drone are possibly going to be doing, just right out the box, palm takeoff, or simply just using your mobile device, it has a weakness in the sense that when you are using your mobile device or you are using the quick snapshot modes, you have no way of telling how much recording time you have. This is something that I believe firmware can easily fix as a visual representation of how much recording time you have, because right now if you're flying using your mobile device, yes, the drone shows you how your Wi-Fi connection is, how strong or how weak that signal is, and at the same time it shows you your battery. But it would be nice to have a feature that shows how much recording time you have or how much storage you have. But I think recording time is more usable, because if you're recording 4K 30 footage, it's probably going to take more space than 1080p at 60 fps footage. So showing the recording time left in the recording setting that you have would be a very good update for the DJI Neo, because for me it actually happened. I was flying and I thought my drone was recording, so I continued to talk and bike around, and I actually realized that it stopped recording during like midway, and it didn't, I had no idea of telling how much storage I had or how much recording time I had. So at the end of the day, it's a function that's going to be user friendly for those that just want to go out and start shooting, because it can help you to prepare beforehand in order to make sure that you have enough storage before you start recording. The second thing that I want to highlight is the fact that yes, the DJI Neo actually has return to home features, and that's actually amazing to have for a $199 or $179 drone. But the return to home function or feature only works when you are using the quick snap modes, using your palm takeoff, or when you are using your mobile device. If you're going to be flying your drone in manual mode using your mobile device, which limits your range and height, your height is limited to about 30 meters and your range or distance is about 50 meters. If your drone loses signal during that manual flying test or flight that you are doing, the drone actually won't return to home even though the signal is lost. If your drone has more battery when the signal is lost, it could be that your drone maybe will hover in place for about 17 minutes if your drone is fully charged. Or if you're in luck and your drone has like more of a less battery charge when the signal is lost, then it's going to hover in place for less time. And once the battery is just about to die, I notice around 4%, that's when the drone starts to descend slowly. And hopefully by then it would have given you enough time to rush to the drone and be able to capture it, or it won't fall in someone else's yard, or worse, it won't fall in water, and that will be the end of your drone. So something that would be cool to have on the DJI Neo as a possible firmware update would be the ability to get a firmware update, whether it's the DJI Fly, the DJI Neo, or the DJI RC controller. It will be cool to have firmware that lets it return to home when it's lost, when you are using manual mode on your device, or it returns to the last point of a good stable communication. But from what I've experienced with my DJI Neo, even when I lose connection with the Neo and the drone, I recover the drone and bring it close to me, usually the DJI screen tells you or gives you a pop-up to try and reconnect without restarting everything over again. But for me, that actually has not been successful. I usually have to do like a close the DJI Fly app and then do like a brand new connection. So that seems to be a bug that I've experienced, but yeah, return to home would be nice to have in manual mode using the mobile device, or at least return to the last point of successful or good Wi-Fi connection. And please look into the issue that's causing the DJI not to reconnect after it's lost connection, without having to restart the app or do a brand new connection all over again. Heard a lot of people say that the DJI Neo footage is trash, it looks terrible, but from what I've seen and experienced, it's mainly because of one major thing, and hopefully DJI is watching and will do a firmware update for this. And it's because usually right out the box, when you look at your footage that you get from the DJI Neo, if it's on a sunny day, it looks over sharpened and overexposed. So you do have the ability to edit your exposure compensation value with the DJI Neo, but that's not something that like the majority of people are going to be doing if they're just buying the drone itself. And of course, if you're buying the drone, most likely you're going to be pairing it with your smartphone. But in order for you to edit or tamper with the exposure compensation and sharpness, you need to have the drone paired with the DJI RC and your mobile device. Then you'll be able to edit your exposure. But this is something that would be good and major to have, and would probably see less complaints because of the footage that the DJI Neo takes, because the most complaints that I've seen with regards to the DJI Neo is the fact that it's overexposed and looks too sharp. And one thing I want to highlight is that this is not the Neo. My Neo is actually charging, but with the DJI Neo, the hood that comes with, if it's on a sunny day and you fly with it, it actually has a pretty cool film. So if you don't want your footage to be overexposed, that's something that you can do temporarily, but hopefully DJI adds it as a sort of a software update for the DJI Fly app. Something that I'm hoping to see with the DJI Neo, hopefully through a software update using the DJI Fly app, because on the DJI Fly you have the ability to use your voice to control your drone. It will be cool to allow it to be able to dynamically be controlled with your voice while it's following you. So when it's following you, you can say move further, move closer, move higher, move lower, move further, something like that. But from what I've experienced with my DJI Neo, when I initiate like a follow mode, because follow mode you can be able to set close, far, and you can set like height as well. When I do like a voice command while it's following me, it already tells me it's in flight. So it would be cool to have it continuously adjust depending on the voice that I'm saying. So if I have like low elevation and it's following me and we approach an area where there's maybe bushes on the ground, it would be cool to say, hey fly, move higher, hey fly, move further. And it will be able to do that without me having to stop the drone and then restarting again, because I don't know if it's just the drone that I have, but yeah, I'm experiencing issues with that. Whenever a quick snapshot is initiated with the DJI Neo, whether it's from the drone itself or it's from the phone itself, I noticed that when the beep sound goes on, that's when the DJI Neo begins to record, and when the beep sound goes off, that's when the drone stops recording. And for most flights, I noticed that the DJI Neo records two separate footages, one going up, one coming down, or depending on the flight. What would be cool to have is to have just one footage. That way all your files are combined and you don't have to import and edit multiple footages. And at the same time, the time that the DJI Neo begins to record, for me it would be nice to have it record the moment it finishes the countdown. So it goes 3, 2, 1, and then it moves to the location where it's gonna begin doing the flight, and that's when it begins to record. But it would be cool to have it, you know, zoom out from your face and then go up like this, and depending on the mode of course that you'd have. So an earlier recording would be nice to have, and at the same time don't cut the recording when the drone is coming back to land on your hand. Let the recording stop once the drone has landed. That would be cool to have, you know, to have that footage where it's zooming out and it's landing on your palm, because currently it seems to cut off early and start recording late, at least for me in my experience. Now, if you're flying the DJI Neo and you accidentally crash the drone, even though you are close to the drone, I noticed that sometimes, well, actually in all cases, at least for me in my experience, it seems to stop recording. And sometimes it's like close by and you have an idea where it is, so you can go and grab it, but it stops recording even though it's close by, the connection is good. But something that would be cool to allow or to have on the DJI Neo is the ability to continuously record after a crash, and that way you can use your mobile device. Maybe if you have if you don't have a clue where it landed at, you can use like the camera gimbal in your smartphone to be able to tilt it up or tilt down, and maybe you might get a glimpse of the location or of an idea where it landed at. Because currently the DJI Neo doesn't have like the jiggle mode, because like with the DJI Mini 3 Pro or the other devices, if you lose your drone, you have a find drone mode where it will trigger the drone propellers to like glitch, like they make like a glitching sound every second, and it makes a beeping sound as well. I don't think that's something we're gonna see on the Neo for the price, and it's understandable, but it would be cool to allow it to continuously record even after a crash for easy location identification and to capture those footage to be able to analyze and post for you right here. One thing that the DJI Neo is pretty good for is recording footage for social media. Social media, I mean TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Shorts and stuff like that, and YouTube Shorts. It's pretty good for that, but currently the aspect ratios that you are able to get with the DJI Neo has no like true vertical aspect ratio. You have to record in one of the two provided aspect ratios, and then you have to crop in. And one thing that I noticed when you crop in, because if you're doing movements and the DJI Neo is tracking you using a wider view, sometimes you might be in the edge of the screen, so that means you would have to cut your footage and then reposition your footage from time to time, which takes more time and is more it's more of a workload. But it will be cool to have the Neo have a true vertical aspect ratio where it tries and keeps you front and center. And since the DJI Neo can record 4K 30 or 1080p at 60 Hz, I'm pretty sure it can do 2.7K at 60 Hz as well, to allow users that are using it using the RC goggles or the FPV goggles rather, to be able to avoid 4K 30, because it seems from the footage I've been able to see, 4K 30 with the FPV goggles seems to get a little bit jittery, but I think that issue would be overcome by 2.7K at 60 Hz if that would be an option to be added. But I don't know if that's going to be possible. But the DJI Neo, for the price and what you get, I would say right from the box, it's pretty good. And DJI over time, you know, it's been I think it's less than a month since this drone came out, and we've already had 3 firmware updates. I'm pretty sure a 4th one is coming. And because this drone is catered towards, well, the general public, you don't need to have like prior flying experience. It's meant for everyone, and it's, you know, it's just like a flying selfie stick. So there's going to be more complaints because of the larger audience or target market with the DJI Neo. And I'm just sharing some of what I've experienced with the DJI Neo, and DJI has been pretty responsive when it comes to feedback and sometimes support. That just does reach out to the comment section of some videos, which is something that DJI is pretty good at. So hopefully we get to see some of those changes come to the DJI drones with firmware update. If you have other requests that you want to see on the Neo or on the DJI Fly app itself, or whether you are using the DJI RC controllers, then mention them down below. Other than that, that's just what I have right here. My name is Ben. If you like the video, definitely give us a like, and that helps us grow the channel as well. And I think that's all that I have to say. So see you in the next video. Peace.